Hello and welcome to Along the Way Life's Journey. I'm your host, Carl Buccellato. We're going to chat today a little bit about the events that have been going on around the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I know everybody's been talking about it. It seems it's all over the news. Everybody seems to have an opinion about it. Some people on the radical left seem that they're going to use this as an opportunity again to strike back at Trump and the government, rather than face the reality that this was a tragedy that occurred. Comics think that they have a right to speak and say things that are not true, and they get boosted off the air for it. Some people are in favor of that. Some people think it's a failure of allowing free speech. So it's just an opinion, my opinion. But I think this world has gone a little upside down, a little crazy. I'm going to talk a little bit today about Charlie Kirk and who really killed Charlie Kirk, in my opinion. We all know it was a single shooter. Well, what do we really know about it, this individual, and the events that took place that led up to it? And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it now. I have it on teleprompter, so you'll forgive me if I seem to be reading the script. I, once again, have created a lengthy comment on it, and it's difficult for me to remember it all. I have to make notes and repeat it and read it back to you. Hopefully you allow that. And I do apologize for having to read. So the question we're going to ask today is, who really killed Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk is dead. It happened on a crisp Wednesday afternoon at Utah Valley University. A single round from an antique Mauser found its mark in his throat. The shooter was gone, but within hours, police received a call from a distraught father reporting his own son, Tyler Robinson. He was arrested, and his chilling, defiant statement to police was leaked. "I saved the country from fascists," he said. Immediately, the headlines screamed about the shooter. Everyone, it seems, wanted to talk about the kid who pulled the trigger. But today, we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about the people, the forces, and the very system that readied that gun. Because Tyler Robinson isn't just an isolated incident. He's a symptom of something much bigger, much more disturbing, unraveling right before our eyes. The incident itself. Let's be clear. Tyler Robinson was no lone wolf. This wasn't some recluse living in a basement, plotting in isolation. Tyler had a life. He had a partner, a transgender girlfriend, 2 cats, and was a student at Dixie Technical College. His family would describe him as a regular kid, but somewhere along the line, something shifted. The regular photos on his social media feeds were slowly replaced by mimes of guillotines and calls for radical change. He started following Charlie Kirk's campus tour online, absorbing every clip, every soundbite. Then just a week after Kirk's Utah appearance was announced, he retrieved the antique Mauser his grandfather had given him years ago, a relic from a different war. He showed up outside the student union, the decision already made. The actual trigger pull, that took a mere 3 seconds. It's those 3 seconds that everyone focuses on. But what about everything that happened before those 3 seconds? That's the part nobody seems eager to examine under a microscope. And maybe that's because when you put it under scrutiny, the reflection staring back isn't just one face. It's a lot more complicated, a lot more uncomfortable than we'd like to admit. This isn't just about one kid and one gun. It's about a society that in myriad ways creates the conditions for such tragedies to unfold. The first suspect, the algorithm. So who's suspect number 1 in this tragic drama? I'd argue it's the algorithm. That invisible, all-powerful force that fed Tyler his daily outrage smoothie, one perfectly curated dopamine-fueled dose at a time. Think about it. We're living in an era where our digital landscapes are meticulously crafted, not for our well-being, but for our engagement. On social media, the average user scrolls through hundreds of feet of content every day. And here's the kicker. As many creators and researchers have noted, anger is one of the most engaging emotions. Joy is fleeting. Outrage can be addictive. So Tyler's For You page, like so many others, became a relentless, never-ending highlighted reel of Charlie Kirk clips. These weren't thoughtful debates or nuanced discussions. No, these were surgically trimmed, 8-second snippets designed to provoke, to enrage, always ending on a face that screamed enemy. The kid didn't wake up one morning spontaneously hating Charlie Kirk. That hatred, that sense of existential threat, was meticulously choreographed by his feed. Taught him that hatred, that sense of existential threat, was meticulously choreographed by his feed. Taught to him one microdose of dopamine at a time. Every scroll, every like, every share reinforced the narrative, pushing him further down a rabbit hole of grievances and indignation. When you pump that much adrenaline, that much targeted outrage into a developing brain, especially one already searching for meaning and belonging, something's eventually going to snap. It's an unsustainable diet for the human psyche. And in this case, someone turned to a gun just to turn the noise off, to silence the perceived threat that had been amplified to deafening levels by an algorithm that profits from our division. It's not just about what we choose to see. It's about what's chosen for us and the devastating consequences of that digital manipulation. Our second suspect, look no further than the modern university classroom. Not because professors are quoting Marx, though some of them certainly do, but because of the alarming absence of professors willing to quote anyone else. This isn't about promoting one ideology over another. It's about the erosion of the intellectual diversity, the narrowing of the academic lens. A 2025 survey by the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, known as FIRE, F-I-R-E, found that a record number of students believe it is acceptable to shout down a speaker they disagree with. Even more troubling, 1 in 3 students stated that using violence to stop a campus speech is at least rarely acceptable. And the only tool you're handed in the intellectual toolbox is disruption. Every disagreement, every differing opinion starts to look like a barricade that needs to be stormed, not a conversation to be had. Tyler, like countless other students, sat through seminars where Charlie Kirk's name wasn't just a label. It was a shorthand for moral pestilence, a stand-in for everything wrong with the world. He wrote papers not just arguing, but advocating that violence against perceived fascists was a legitimate, even preemptive form of self-defense. And he didn't just pass, he got A's, not for the clarity of his evidence, mind you, but for the sheer strength of his conviction, for aligning with the prevailing ideological winds. This isn't to say that college radicalized Tyler. Far from it. But what it did do, tragically, was fail to challenge the radicalization that was already happening off campus, online, and in the echo chambers of his social circles. Instead of fostering critical thinking, intellectual humility, and the ability to engage with uncomfortable truths, it often provided a reinforcing echo. It failed to equip him with the tools to navigate a complex world where problems rarely have one villain and one neat, power-driven solution. When universities become an echo chamber instead of arenas for robust debate, they risk sending students out into the world not as critical thinkers, but as ideologues. Not as critical thinkers, but as ideologues, convinced of their own righteousness and unprepared for genuine disagreement. Section 4. And then there's the suspect number 3, the void. That gaping emptiness where community, genuine connection, and shared purpose used to be. Consider Tyler's hometown, Ogden, Utah. In 2019, it lost its last all-ages music venue, a place where young people could just be, explore, and connect. The climbing gym, another virtual hub for social activity, shuttered its doors during the COVID, never to reopen again. Even the Mormon ward, which Tyler sporadically attended, moved its services online, further digitizing an already disconnected world. What's left? What's available for a young person in a place like that? The jobs pay $15 an hour. barely $1 more than the rent for a windowless basement room. It's a landscape of diminishing opportunities, of shrinking spaces for organic connection, or a constant low-level hum of alienation. In that vacuum, that yearning for meaning and belonging slid the seductive promise of purpose, often wrapped in the genuine guise of part-time activism. If you've ever scrolled GoFundMe at 2 a.m, you know how thin the line is between donating to a worthy cause and joining a full-blown crusade. For many, especially young people, the internet offers a powerful, albeit often superficial sense of belonging and agency. Tyler crossed that line one night when he posted a black and white photo of himself holding a copy of Franz Fanon's The Wretched of the Earth, with a caption that echoed an almost primal scream: "We are the grandchildren of all the bastards you couldn't kill." He got 53 likes, 53 digital affirmations. And in that moment, for the first time in what felt like a long time, someone, somewhere, saw him. They saw his anger, his conviction, his nascent purpose. The void didn't just follow him, it reshaped him, directing his search for community and meaning into a digital echo chamber of righteous indignation, culminating in a tragic act of desperate need to matter. Next, the Heirloom. Now let's talk about the weapon itself. This wasn't a quick purchase fueled by a moment of rage. The gun was an antique Mauser, a gift from his grandfather, a man who fought in a war and understood its gravity. It sat in Tyler's closet for years, a piece of family history, a dormant relic. But in a world where ideological battles are framed as literal wars, that relic became a tool. Federal background checks are designed to flag felony convictions during a sale, but they have no way of knowing about the antique rifle passed down through generations, waiting in a closet. The gun wasn't acquired in a moment of passion. It was already there, a permanent fixture in his life. When the ideological pressure reached its peak, the theoretical became possible. The barrier between angry thought and deadly action wasn't a 30-minute wait. It was just the lid of a box to open. It's a stark reminder that while we debate online radicalization, the physical means to act remain frighteningly accessible. And so the verdict. So after all this, who really killed Charlie Kirk? It's not a simple answer, because it's not a simple problem. It was the algorithm, expertly designed to turn mere disagreement into existential threat, feeding a steady diet of outrage until it consumed everything else. It was the classroom, which instead of modeling good faith, disagreement, and intellectual curiosity, often reinforced a narrow worldview, rewarding conviction over critical inquiry. It was the void, that gaping absence of genuine community and purpose, replaced by the fleeting, often toxic validation of broadcasting one's anger to an online audience. And yes, it was the heirloom, the rifle, a dormant piece of history that became a present-day weapon, a reminder that the means for lethal force are often already in our homes, waiting for an ideology to give them purpose. And of course, Tyler Robinson himself. Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. He will sit in his cell for decades contemplating that final irreversible act. But a 22-year-old is not born a killer. He is instead the final product, the end result of the relentless conveyor belt. A conveyor belt that stretches from the sleek, glimmering servers of Palo Alto through the hollowed, sometimes hollow halls of universities, and right into the hollowing out of Main Street, USA. Until we had the courage, the foresight, and the collective will to shut down that conveyor belt, to dismantle the mechanism that produces such tragedy, the only thing that will truly change is a name on the next bullet. We cannot afford to keep looking away. And so this is my call to action. If you want more videos that connect the dots, the ones that Main Street News pretends aren't connected, then hit the subscribe button and ring that bell. Understanding these complex issues is the first step towards changing them. So what's the conclusion? Charlie Kirk's death is a headline, a tragic event that captured national attention. Tyler Robinson's life, meanwhile, is destined to become a footnote, a cautionary tale, lost in the broader narrative. But the aftermath of this tragedy has been anything but simple. In a digital town square, a stark division has appeared. Hundreds have posted hate messages, celebrating the murder in a grim display of radical fervor. But a different, much larger chorus has also arose. Hundreds of thousands joined in prayer and held vigils in memory for Charlie Kirk. This massive outpouring, a stand for truth that spread throughout the nation and even globally, reflects what many see as a significant revival in the world. The machinery that led to this moment is still running, but the reaction against it has been powerful and profound. It shows that while some fall to division, millions more are galvanized, standing for the values that were attacked. The question is no longer just who killed one man, but what this moment has awakened in the countless others. And so, my friends, we come to the end of this program, but not the end of the question, and certainly not the end of the problem. So I ask you, what are you going to do about it? This has been, I'd say every week, tell your story. This has been the story of countless generations. This is our generation at large and our youthful generation that's coming up before us. This is the salvation of our future we have to think about. Our children are vital, and they are under attack every day. We must do our share. We must stand together and fight against this radical, not with weapons, never with weapons, but with truth and honesty and the willingness to stand against it. Don't let the comedians win in this world. Don't let these naysayers who use every opportunity to attack our foundation and our president and our government. They're liars, and they're looking to steal. They're looking to steal the very foundation of this nation. We can't let that be. God bless you all. Good night.